In today's video, we'll be taking a look at all the buffs, nerfs and changes that are coming next week with patch 14.22. Before we get into specific roles, there is a few system and item changes to go over first. Side lane minion move speed is changing slightly, and smite targeting is being changed too, to be more forgiving to prevent accidentally smiting the wrong void grubs. The lethality item opportunity is getting 5 more AD but losing its 4% movement speed. Yumu's Ghostblade is getting 5 less AD but gaining 4% movement speed. Static Shiv is once again getting changed, coming down in price, losing 10 AD and 10% attack speed, and its passive gets changed too, so say goodbye to those ARAM pentas. Yuntal Wild Arrows is also going to be a completely different item, having 10 less AD but gaining attack speed. The 25% crit has been removed. However, now on attack you'll permanently gain 0.2% crit chance, which stacks up permanently to 25% at 125 stacks. Attacking an enemy champion now also grants 30% attack speed for 4 seconds on a 40-second cooldown, and your attacks refund 1 second, which is doubled on crits. This sounds pretty damn strong and could be a fantastic first item on champions like Jinx. I mean, just imagine Yuntal Wild Arrows into Runans. GG Freeload. Now let's have a look at the top lane buffs and nerfs then, and first up, Irelia is getting a second buff in a row, with her passive now refreshing on towers, and her passive now gains 50% damage to structures too. This is another quality of life change for her that will definitely feel much better to play with. Kayle is another champion gaining buffs for a second patch in a row, and this time to her passive attack speed and max attack speed. Seems like they might regret these ones, because she could be a little bit OP. Rumble is also getting his base HP increased from 625 to 655. For nerfs, Aatrox is getting his ultimate's bonus AD nerfed at max rank from 45% down to 40. Illaoi loses some base AD and her mana growth comes down too, all in an attempt to make her easier to deal with at lower ranks. The same goes for Mordekaiser, and his E-base damage and AP ratio is coming down slightly. Jax, on the other hand, is more aimed at high elo, as he's always a really popular pick here. His ultimate's cooldown is being nerfed along with its active damage too. Poppy has been far too strong as his support recently, but also an S tier top lane pick as well. Next patch, her base AD will come down from 64 to 60, and her level 1 attack speed comes down too. Shen has been one of the best champions in the game so far this split. His passive cooldown is going up, his passive cooldown refund also gets nerfed, as well as the shield on his ultimate. But it wouldn't be a season 14 patch preview without more changes to Cassante, and his Q damage is coming down, and his R and E dash speed is getting buffed. Into the jungle next then, and first up we've got some buffs to Briar, with her base HP going up from 590 to 625. Vi's passive shield is also going up from 12% max HP to 14%. Wukong's mana is going up from 300 to 330, and his W's cooldown comes down. When they originally did the changes to Wukong a few years ago now, his W being available more often was part of the problem, so this could actually be a really big buff for him. Lillia is getting her armor growth and passive monster healing nerfed, and Udyr gets more nerfs to his R's damage, his R and R damage, and his R and R monster cap too. Maybe now it's time for the return of Tiger Udyr instead. Into the mid lane next, and Fizz has been a bit lackluster recently, especially towards higher ranks. So he's getting his Q's AP ratio increased and his W's active AP ratio increased too. So get ready to see a lot more of the fish. Swain's rework hasn't really been too successful so far, with him just being a bit too undertuned. So he's getting his magic resist, Q damage, E cooldown, and R's healing HP ratio all buffed at the same time this patch. Vel'Koz surprisingly makes the patch preview with buffs to his E and his ultimate's cooldown, which is great news for the 3 people that main him. Katarina's E and ultimate cooldowns are being buffed, which is also great news for the 5,000 million players that main her. Anivia's stats have been pretty damn high for a while, so next week her armor growth and AP ratio are being nerfed. Minor nerfs to Sylas as well, with his health growth being hit, and Syndra's W damage is coming down slightly, which probably won't make too much of a difference. Finally, let's have a look at the changes that impact the bot lane with AD carries and supports. Now, Blitzcrank hasn't really been that strong recently, so Riot are buffing the total AD ratio on his E. Varus gets his W's on hit damage increased, and Vayne is getting more bonus AD on her ultimate. Corki is obviously getting some nerfs next patch after being completely OP in 14.21. Riot are hitting his AD growth and his mana growth, but not touching his passive, which seems to be one of the biggest issues. Seraphine's Q's AP ratio comes down slightly from 0.6 to 0.5, and apart from that, Barrier is also being nerfed after being the most popular summoner spell in the game for AD carries, with its shield going from 120 to 480 down to 100 to 460. And that wraps up everything that's changing in patch 14.22. Obviously, some of these things may change before the patch goes live, but that's everything we know so far. Thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.